For millions of years, sharks dominated the ocean. As the ultimate predators, they had little to fear. But today, there's no question they've met their match, and shark populations are now in peril. If we relied on watching for them in the ocean, few of us would ever get the chance to take an up-close look at sharks. That's why we come to aquariums. But while they're fascinating to look at, it's not guaranteed they'll be around for generations to come. Many of the large fish and sharks we see here in aquariums are on the endangered or threatened list, and their numbers are dwindling at an alarming rate.
We are at a crisis point, a critical point where we could see sharks disappear in our lifetime if we continue taking them out of the ocean at the rate that we are.
Right now, there are no restrictions on shark fishing in international waters. Conservationists expect several species will likely be wiped out within a decade if current fishing practices remain intact.
What's happening now is that the populations are declining drastically. In the last decade, some populations of some species of sharks has decreased as much as 75 to 90% in just a decade.
They're being taken from the water by some estimates at a rate of 100 million a year. Half of them accidentally. Called bycatch, sharks are swept up in nets intended for other fish.
Also, bycatch is huge. There's so many sharks that are caught in fishing nets that people are fishing for something else, but they're accidentally caught, and the sharks are just thrown back into the ocean as waste, and they don't do anything with them.
The other half are taken intentionally for everything from their meat to their fins. Conservation groups are pushing for a ban on a practice known as finning, where shark fins are removed for things like shark fin soup.
Our demand for shark products like shark jaws and shark meat are the things that are really putting these populations in danger.
To lose them because our fisheries are pulling them out of the oceans too fast, it's just a tragedy. It would just be tragic.
Out of all the sharks and the fish in the tank here at the Wild Reef, how many of them are endangered or threatened or really in danger in the wild?
Actually, the sawfish is critically endangered in the wild. There's not many left of any species of sawfish in the wild due to habitat loss mostly and bycatch. Also, our white-spotted guitarfish is threatened in the wild, so they're not doing as badly as the sawfish, but not doing really well either.
The sawfish population is believed to be below 10% of where it once was, and the guitarfish is right behind. Remember how this one showed off her powerful force coming out of the water right in front of us? For the same reason, guitarfish are prized by sport fishermen in some parts of the world. Doesn't it ever strike you that because you know so much about these animals and you have this connection with them and you truly understand them because you work with them every day, does it make you feel like, I can't believe how they're treated in the wild, they're so misunderstood?
It's frustrating, and that's why I think it's really good for programs like this, getting the word out that sharks aren't these, horrible creatures that, swimming teeth that they just want to eat anything in sight. That's just not the case.
The message can't get out fast enough. A quarter of the world's sharks are now considered threatened with extinction. The other critical danger sharks face is the loss of habitat. Coral reefs, once vibrant and plentiful, cover just 1% of the sea floor, but they support 25% of all marine life. Take a look at what's happening. They're being destroyed.
As the seas are getting warmer, we're starting to see negative impacts on the corals. The concerns are so high that we might see 80%, even higher, of our coral reefs dying off because of climate change. And that does not bode well for the animals that rely on them, including sharks.
Though they can look like stone, coral reefs are living organisms that spend their lives rooted in one place. They're vastly important to the underwater ecosystem because they provide a rich village for fish and marine life to feed and live. But coral reefs form slowly. Over many, many, many years, it takes hundreds of coral colonies to form massive reefs. And they're highly sensitive, finding it hard to survive the impact on their environment.
They're losing a lot of their habitat. Pollution is a big one, bleaching of corals.
With an eye on conservation, the Shedd Aquarium is actively perfecting ways to grow and nurture coral. Every year, the Shedd sends a team of scientists to Puerto Rico to work with other zoos and aquariums from around the world, collecting spawn from extremely endangered coral species. Massive spawning occurs every August, a few days after the full moon. The team collects spawn, then returns to Chicago to grow the coral in special tanks. All of these efforts are with the big picture in mind. The coral is part of the chain of life that supports much larger marine life, like sharks.
They keep the balance of the ecosystem, so they keep our ecosystems free of sick fish and dying fish. They're really the garbage disposals. They keep our oceans clean and balanced and functioning.
The sharply declining shark population is one reason Chicago's Shedd Aquarium has turned its attention to breeding. Some sharks give birth to live young. Others, like zebra sharks, lay eggs.
The zebra sharks, we've had the most successful breeding program in the world, with having more hatch at our institution than in the rest of the institutions around the world combined.
We also want to show you rare footage of shark courtship. You can imagine how difficult it'd be to capture this behavior in the wild. Here, the male shark is introduced into the main tank and makes laps around before meeting up with the female. But watch, it's shocking to see because the male shark physically grabs hold of the female shark's tail with his teeth.
The male grabs hold of the female's tail, which you can hear the sound underwater. It sounds like a door slamming. He grabs a hold of her tail, and what she'll do is she'll go into a submissive pose and turns over on her back. When we do this, when our guests are around, we always have to let our folks that are out on the floor with our guests know what's happening, because it can look a little bit disturbing.
It's something rarely caught on camera. Look closely. You can see the female zebra shark circle around, staking out a safe place to attach her eggs. She starts releasing almost a webbing called tendrils that attach her eggs to the place where they'll remain for many months as they mature.
And there's a baby shark right there.
Wow.
Wait to see when he moves.
It's amazing. Inside these little leather eggs, they're swimming around already. So right now we're going to put on some ultrasound gear and do an ultrasound of the shark eggs.
Take the probe and start one end of the egg and then sort of work your way to the other side. And watch the screen while you do it.
Oh, there it
is. Right there. And here's the baby right here. There you go. Oh, that's a great shot right there. And right here we're seeing the heart beating. So it's opening and then closing, opening and then closing. So right there's the heart. And right there's the inside of the mouth. And then here are gills, and then here's one fin, because we're sort of seeing him on one side.
So is he looking pretty good, and you're going to have a baby shark here at the shed pretty soon?
He looks great. He's actually kind of running out of room in there a bit. And you can also see that we didn't see much yolk, because he's used that as he's developed. So he's ready to be born and start eating.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Then there are sharks that don't lay eggs, but give birth to live babies. They've separated this blacktip female because she's pregnant. They believe she's about 12 months along and due any day, though the exact gestation period for sharks really isn't known. There's no simple way to track it in the wild, and there isn't a lot of data in aquariums.
It is really amazing too. I mean, you think about how much is known about, say, the surface of the moon as compared to the depths of the ocean. I think they're just fascinating animals. We don't know what we're going to learn from them.
A few weeks after that visit, a special day came for the animal experts at the shed. They're celebrating baby sharks at the aquarium. Healthy blacktip reef sharks, 4 of them, each about 9 inches long, all coming from inside a mother shark that only measures about 3 feet. Births like this provide hope for the future.
Having them here at the aquarium, we work hard to make strides in the scientific community to learn more about these animals, so that not only can we maintain them properly here in our environment, but that we can also have them for generations.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you learned something new about sharks during this up-close and in-depth look at these complex animals. We have to remember, sharks are the product of millions of years of evolution, and much about them remains a mystery. But we can do our part. Their numbers are threatened. Learn what you can about the ocean's habitats, and spread the word about the need to conserve them. I'm Anna Devlantis. Thanks for coming along as we got into the Shark Tank.